This is in response to Lawrence O'Donnell's segment last night, Tuesday, November 18th, 2014, entitled Gruber-Gate, which I'm sort of getting tired of the whole thing. It's going to be a passé issue within a week or so, as the immigration thing by Obama is supposed to come out on Friday. But let's just finish up on this whole thing, and let's just let it die its decent death. Gruber, an MIT scientist, opened up his mouth over a year ago. Actually, he opened it up not only in the one thing that the Republicans are jumping all over about, he opened up the same thing to Bill O'Reilly, he opened up the same thing to Lawrence O'Donnell over a year ago. But no one paid any attention to it. But now that the Republicans are in power, yeah, they're going to pay close attention to it. So they were holding back on this for a long time just to get it going. But let's get just to the major point. Gruber got paid a fair amount of money to work on Romneycare and Obamacare. Obviously a huge smart guy. Didn't actually get involved in the actual writing of it as it was passed. Presented his work. It was taken in by the administration, by the House and Senate as they're getting it. And items were added, items were deleted, items were crossed out, edited, etc., etc. So we have this final bill, the Affordable Care Act. And I think that the big thing that were talked about, a couple things in terms of Lawrence's show, is that number one, the Affordable Care Act, anytime you have major legislation, there's always some stuff in it that you don't want everyone to find out about. Not only the American public, because it had some taxes in it, so to speak, but also some people in industry, because some of those industries might not be getting as good a deal as other industries might be getting. And of course, they're all they're all fighting to get as much for themselves, their group, as anyone else. So some industries did not quite as well, and some industries did better, so to speak. But let's get back to the basic point of the whole thing. The hospitals were behind the whole thing. The hospitals helped write the whole thing. And let's just say the medical care industry in itself was behind the whole thing, helped write the whole thing because they want to make money out of the thing. Now the Republicans are jumping and screaming, but actually the medical industry in general is happy about it. The insurance industry, the hospitals, they're all going to make more money. It was all written for them. So again, I don't know why the Republicans were so upset about the whole thing, but again, it doesn't fit into their narrative that hospitals should screw everybody as much as they possibly can, not have a number of things that the Affordable Care Act provides, etc. So all this stuff was going into the legislation. There was hidden taxes in there, and of course, taxes is now what I would recall a mortal sin in the political industry. If you say taxes, it's a mortal sin, because even though you don't advocate for taxes, but you talk about it, you're going to be sentenced to hell. That's just the way it's going to be. So that's a very unfortunate thing. So all this stuff was going on behind the scenes. Some of it was coming out in public. Jonathan Cohen, who was there with Lawrence, talked about that even that part about these taxes that were in there, he had written about, other people had written about, but the Republicans were so much in tune to their talking points, especially death panels, that death panels ruled the day, and all of that stuff that got talked about, but the taxes in it weren't talked about. So all of this crazy stuff that's going on about Gruber-Gate, again, the Affordable Care Act is working. It's working well. It's insured about 10 million people. But in the sausage making of how the law got going, a lot of stuff got thrown under the rugs. The Republicans didn't show any type of intelligence or any type of knowledge about what was really going on in the legislation, things that they could attack on a legitimate basis that might have even helped make it a better bill. But, who knows? There was too much about the death panels, et cetera, and then Obama made the mistake saying that you can have your own healthcare provider. My company's going from, what are we going from, United to Cigna? I don't know if I probably get to keep my same healthcare provider, probably may not. It just depends on who signs up for what. So, that's just the way the cookie crumbles, so to speak. And then Howard Dean, the thing about him, sometimes he is so spot on, and this time he was again spot on, is if fucking stupid Lieberman hadn't canceled out his vote, we could have had single payer. Single payer would have been Medicaid, Medicare. I mean, I would have been eligible for one of those two. Well, no, not one of them. What's the one for older people anyway? I'm getting there anyway. Medicare, could have been eligible for that. And that could have helped me when I was unemployed at different times. But these things weren't brought up. These things weren't in the legislation. If they'd been in the legislation, healthcare worker, excuse me, the medical industry would still be making money. Pharmaceutical industry would still be making money, but more people would be provided. It wouldn't be such a big thing. But again, this was all written by the healthcare industry, and there's a lot of backstabbing that was going on in it all. And so we got what we got. And Billy's been jumping all over this. Lawrence had to get into the fray a little bit. But you know, this guy, Gruber, you know, he's a marginal player. He never was a big thing. You know, the Republicans are making it out like it's a big thing. It's not really a big thing. He's opened up his mouth a little bit. Yes, there's a little bit going on behind the scenes that not everyone's aware about. You know, Republicans are saying, look at how they lied, look at how they lied, look at how they lied. You know, when they're lying through their teeth about everything. So I don't know what the big deal was. I'm glad Howard Dean, you know, put a lot of the perspective is, you know, we really need single payer. We should have had single payer. Probably that was part of what would have happened in the Clinton administration if they had ever gotten that thing through. We got something through that's good. It was written by the medical industry, so they're making money. But there are more people that are insured, and yes, some people are going to have to pay a little bit more. There are always winners and losers in every legislation, you know, but the Republicans are making it seem like this is something that has never happened before, that's never happened in legislation, you know, that somebody might be a loser. And it just isn't the case. This is what happens all the time, day in and day out in legislation. This is what goes on. There's all this low horse trading going on behind the scenes. There's all this kind of stuff that's going on. So the only thing I can say is, you know, thank God for Howard Dean for pointing out that we really should have had single payer going in. And that's just what we're really striving for, because that's what we really need. And let the medical industry make some money. They don't give them killer money, but let them make some money, because we want them to make money, because we want them to come into new. We want them to make enough money so they can go into R&D. We want them to make enough money so that they can hire good people, so they can hire qualified people, so that the Americans can be well taken care of. We want all of that. But what we don't want is this bullshit from the Republicans about death panels when they don't even read the bills. So, I don't know, not much going on all that. Like I said, you know, when Obama comes out with his immigration thing on Friday, all this will be passé, way behind